The bus leaves him at the edge of the mountain road just before sunset. Dust hangs in the air long after it drives away. Aarav stands with his single bag in his hand, staring up at the hill. The temple sits there, small against the pale sky. Its roof curves like folded wings. The wood has turned grey over the years. The bells at the corners do not move. He remembers them once ringing in the wind. The village below looks the same. Low stone houses, narrow paths, smoke rising thin and straight from cooking fires. But it feels quieter than it should. Even the dogs do not bark when he walks past. His father's house waits at the far end, near the stream. The door sticks when he pushes it open. The air inside smells like dust and old wood. Nothing has moved since the funeral 3 days ago. A cup still rests beside the bed. A folded shawl lies on the chair. Aarav sets his bag down and stands in the center of the room. He listens. There is no traffic here, no city noise. Only the sound of the stream and the faint stir of wind through pine trees. It should feel peaceful. It does not. As the light fades, shadows gather in the corners. He lights a small lamp. The flame trembles, then steadies. He cooks rice without hunger and eats in silence. Outside, the hill darkens. He avoids looking at it through the window. When he was a boy, the temple had been part of the landscape. He and the other children used to race up the first few steps before someone's mother would shout at them to come back. Don't sing near the hill, they were told. Don't shout. Don't make noise. They never asked why. That night, he lies on his back, staring at the ceiling. The house creaks as it cools. The stream keeps its steady voice. Hours pass. Then, just as sleep begins to touch him, he hears it. At first he thinks it is the wind pressing against the walls. A low sound, barely there. He sits up. The sound comes again. Soft, rhythmic. It rises and falls like breath. Not loud enough to name, but too steady to ignore. He swings his legs off the bed and walks to the window. The moon has climbed above the hill. The temple is only a darker shape against the dark sky. The sound drifts from that direction. It is not words, not clearly, but it moves like chanting, slow and even, as if many voices are speaking at once, buried under soil. His chest tightens. He opens the window a little. The night air slips in, cool against his face. The murmur continues. He tells himself it must be wind in the trees, or water under stone. The mind fills silence with shapes. Still, he does not close the window. He stands there for a long time, listening. In the morning, he walks to the small shop near the well. The shopkeeper, Mira, looks older than he remembers. Her hair is white now, pulled tight behind her head. She nods when she sees him. "You came back," she says. He nods. They speak of small things. First, the funeral, the weather, the broken bridge on the east path. Then he asks, careful with his voice, "Does anyone go to the temple now?" Her hands pause over the basket of lentils. "No," she says. "At night?" he asks. She looks at him then, sharp and quick. "No, I heard something," he says, "like chanting." She shakes her head. The temple has been empty for decades. He studies her face. She does not blink. Wind carries strange sounds. She adds. He pays and leaves. As he walks back, he notices how people avoid looking at the hill. Their eyes slide away from it without thought. A group of children play near the stream. One of them begins to sing a simple tune. His older sister quickly presses a hand over his mouth. Not here, she whispers. The boy frowns. Confused, Aarav feels a cold weight settle inside him. That evening, clouds roll over the mountain. The air feels thick. He eats little. He does. Not light the lamp right away. He waits in the dim light, listening to the stream. When night fully arrives, the sound returns. Clearer now. The low murmur spreads through the dark like mist. It does not echo through the air. It feels closer than that, as if it moves through the ground itself. He kneels and presses his palm to the wooden floor. There dot. A faint vibration, his throat goes dry. The rhythm is steady, patient. It does not rush. It does not falter. He stands slowly. His body feels pulled toward the door. Outside, the village is asleep. No lights, no footsteps. The hill waits. He steps onto the path. Gravel crunches under his sandals. The murmur grows stronger with each step, but only slightly, like a sound traveling through thick walls. The temple gate stands open. It always has. He climbs the stone steps. Moss lines their edges. The wood at the temple doors is cracked, but firm. The sound hums through his bones now. He pushes the door. It opens without resistance. Inside, moonlight spills across the floor. Dust floats in the pale beam. The altar at the far end is bare. No offerings, no candles. The murmur fills the room. It does not hurt his ears. It rests against them. He takes one step forward. The sound seems to breathe in. His heart pounds loud. In his chest, he feels foolish standing there, afraid of air and old wood. It's nothing, he whispers to himself. The murmur continues. He swallows. His lips part without thought. A small sound escapes him. A simple hum, the kind his grandmother used when she cooked. Soft and absent, dash-minded, the moment the note leaves his throat. The temple falls silent. Not slowly, instantly. The vibration under his feet vanishes. The air becomes flat and empty. The silence is so sudden, it makes his ears ring. He stops humming. Nothing. Answers. No wind. No murmur. No distant breath. Only the quiet temple and his own shaking inhale. He waits. 1 second, 2, 10.2, 10. The silence. Halts. His skin. PRICKLES. It was listening. The thought forms without effort. He steps back. The floor does not tremble now. The moonlight feels colder. He turns and walks out of the temple, down the steps, back toward the village. Halfway down the hill, he stops and looks back. The temple stands still, harmless in the night, but the silence feels heavier than the sound did. He returns to his father's house and closes the door carefully. He does not open the window. He lies awake for hours, staring into the dark. The humming does not return. That is what unsettles him most. Morning comes thin and grey. Aarav has not slept. He sits at the small wooden table, hands wrapped around a cup of cold tea. The sky outside is still pale, the sun not fully risen. The hill stands in shadow. The temple roof cuts a sharp line against the mist. The silence from last night lingers in his chest. He told himself the sound had stopped because it was nothing, because he imagined it, because grief does strange things to the mind, but the way it vanished the moment he hummed still sits. With him, he stands before he can talk himself out of it. The path up the hill is damp. Fog clings low to the ground, wrapping around his ankles. Pine trees drip from last night's rain. Each drop hits stone with a soft tap. The village behind him is quiet. A door opens somewhere. A metal bucket scrapes across stone. Normal sounds. Safe sounds. The steps to the temple feel colder this morning. He climbs slowly. The air smells of wet wood and soil. His breath clouds faintly in front of him. The doors of the temple hang slightly open. They were closed when he left. He stops at the top step, listens. Nothing. No humming. No vibration. Only the faint rustle of trees. He pushes the door wider. It moves with a low groan. Inside, pale light slips through cracks in the walls. Dust floats in slow circles. The floorboards are worn smooth by years of feet that no longer come. The altar stands empty. No incense, no offerings, no cloth, just bare wood, scratched and faded. He steps inside. The air feels still, heavy but not cold. He waits for the murmur. There is none. He walks toward the altar. His sandals make soft sounds against the floor. Each step echoes slightly, then fades. He stops a few feet away. For a moment, he feels foolish again. A grown man standing alone in an abandoned temple at dawn, chasing sounds in his head. He closes his eyes. His grandmother's voice rises from memory. Low, steady, the prayer she used to whisper before sleep, before storms, before funerals. He speaks it softly now. The words feel strange on his tongue after so many years. As the last line leaves his mouth, the air changes. It is small at first. A tightness. Like the room has drawn a breath and is holding it. His eyes open. The dust in the light seems to pause. Then, beneath his feet, a faint tremor, so slight he almost doubts it. He stands still. There it is again. A vibration, low and steady. Moving through the wood, not loud enough to hear clearly, just enough to feel the walls. Answer with a soft hum, barely there. A whisper inside the grain of the beams. His heart begins to race. He does not speak again. The tremor fades after a few seconds. The air loosens. The dust moves freely again. The temple returns to silence. He steps back from the altar. I didn't chant, he says quietly, as if explaining to someone unseen. It was only a prayer. The room gives no reply. He leaves the temple slowly, not turning his back until he reaches the doorway. Outside, the fog has begun to lift. The village looks almost peaceful below. Smoke rises from a few chimneys. A rooster crows late. He walks down the steps, feeling watched, though he sees no one. At the shop, Mira is arranging vegetables in wooden crates. Her hands move with care, even though no customers stand nearby. She looks up as he approaches. You went up there, she says. It is not a question. He hesitates, then nods. Her mouth tightens. I heard something again, he says. This morning. She moves faster than he expects. Her hand shoots out and grips his wrist. Her fingers are thin but strong. Do not chant there, she says. Her voice is low, not angry, not loud, just firm. I didn't chant, he replies. I only it. Listens, she says. The words hang between them. To what? He asks. She studies his face for a long moment. Her grip does not loosen. You think it is empty because it looks empty, she says quietly, but it is not. He feels the pulse in his wrist under her fingers. What is it? He whispers. She releases him slowly. No one sings near the hill, she says instead. There is a reason. What reason? She turns away and adjusts a basket that does not need adjusting. Leave it alone, she says. That is all. He walks back through the village with her words pressing against his thoughts. He listens to sound, to prayer, to him, the rest of the day. Passes in small, restless motions. He sweeps the floor. He washes dishes that are already clean. He opens and closes drawers. Each sound he makes feels too loud. By evening, the sky darkens early. Clouds roll in again, thicker this time. The air feels charged. Like before a storm, he lights the lamp and sits on the edge of his bed. The house is quiet, too quiet. He lies down without undressing. His eyes remain open. Hours pass. Then it begins. Not from the hill, not from outside. From beneath him, a low murmur seeps up through the floorboards. His body stiffens. The sound is clearer tonight. Closer. It no longer drifts through air. It presses directly against the wood under his back. Steady, rhythmic, like breathing. He sits up. Slowly, the murmur continues, rising and falling in a pattern that feels almost human, almost familiar. He slides off the bed and kneels. His palm rests flat on the floor. The vibration pulses against his skin. It is not coming from the temple. It is coming from below the house, from the ground itself. He swallows. The entire village feels still above it, as if every house rests on the same hidden breath. The murmur grows slightly louder, not aggressive, not violent, intimate. It feels like something speaking softly through the earth, waiting for an answer. He shakes his head. No, he whispers. The word barely leaves his lips. The sound does not stop. It continues, patient and even, as if it knows time means nothing. He stands slowly, stepping back from the center of the room. The lamp flame trembles. The wooden walls creak, but not from wind. The humming settles into a steady rhythm beneath his feet. The village is breathing, and it is no longer coming from the hill. Rain begins before dusk. Aarav sees the clouds gathering while he stands at the base of the hill. They roll over the mountains in thick layers, dark and low. The air feels heavy, hard to breathe. Pine branches bend under the first drops. He should turn back. Instead, he climbs. The humming beneath the village has not stopped all day. It stayed low, steady, like a heartbeat buried deep underground. No one else speaks of it. No one meets his eyes for long. He needs to understand. Halfway up, the stone steps, Thunder cracks across the valley. The sound hits his chest like a shove. Rain falls harder, soaking his shirt within seconds. The moss on the steps turns slick. By the time he reaches the temple doors, the storm is in full force. Wind pushes the doors inward, as if inviting him. Inside, he steps through just as lightning splits the sky. The door slams shut behind him with a sharp bang. He stands still in the sudden dimness. Rain drums against the roof. Thunder roars again, long and deep. The wooden beams groan in reply. The temple smells different tonight. Wet wood, old dust stirred by wind. Something else beneath it, faint and earthy. He moves toward the center of the room. Each lightning flash fills the space with white light for a second at a time. The altar stands bare. The walls loom taller in the dark. Another crack of thunder. The vibration under his feet answers, subtle but present. He looks up. In the brief flare of lightning, he notices something he had not seen before. Carvings. They run along the inner beams near the ceiling. Thin lines cut into the wood, darkened by age. He steps closer to the wall and waits for the next flash. Light floods the room again. Figures, small, carved figures, kneel in rows. Their heads are tilted back. Their mouths are open wide. From their mouths, lines stretch upward in curved shapes, joining together into a swirling pattern above them. The pattern circles inward, tightening toward a single dark center carved into the wood. The light fades, his pulse quickens. He moves along the wall, tracing the carvings with his eyes. More kneeling figures, more open mouths, the same spiral above them all. Thunder shakes the temple again, harder this time. Dust falls from the beams. The humming beneath the floor grows slightly stronger, as if stirred by the storm. He steps back from the wall. They were chanting, he murmurs to himself. Another flash. He sees something else near the altar. A wooden chest, half hidden behind a broken screen. It is cracked along one side, the lid slightly lifted. He walks toward it slowly. The floor trembles faintly with each. THUNDERCLAP. He kneels beside the chest and lifts the lid fully. The hinges creak in protest. Inside, bundles of paper tied with thee. Faded string rests in neat stacks. The edges are yellowed and curled. He hesitates before touching them. The storm roars outside. Rain leaks through a thin crack in the roof and taps against the floor. He unties the first bundle. The paper is thin and brittle. The ink has faded but is still readable in places. The writing is careful, steady, recorded by someone who wanted to remember. He reads by lightning. Year of the third flood. The chanting continues nightly. Another flash. We gather at sunset. All families present. Thunder. The sound below quiets when the voices rise. His hands shake slightly. He flips to another page. It is not worship. It is balance. The next line is smudged. Another page. It answers when called. It grows when fed. We must guide the sound, not let it guide us. Rain slams harder against the roof. He turns more pages quickly now, scanning. 3 boys mocked the rhythm. The ink here is darker, pressed hard into the page. They laughed during the chant. They changed the words. Thunder crashes directly overhead. The ground opened. The next page is stained. warped as if by water. We heard their voices even after the earth closed. Aarav lowers the paper slowly. The humming beneath the floor shifts, almost as if reacting to his reading. He swallows and looks around the temple, built over something older than faith. The words feel heavy in his mind. Another page. We stopped. Gathering. Silence seems safer. The writing becomes uneven toward the end, but silence does not starve it. It waits. Lightning fills the room again. The carved figures above seem almost alive in the white light. Their open mouths stretch upward, feeding the spiral. The spiral tightens toward its center, toward something unseen. The storm begins to move away. Thunder rolls farther into the distance. The rain softens to a steady fall. The temple grows quieter. Aarav places the papers back into the chest with careful hands. He lowers the lid gently. The humming remains. It is clearer now that the storm has passed. Not loud, not wild. Controlled waiting. He stands and walks to the center of the room. The carvings above him feel heavier. Closer, they were not praying. He whispers. They were containing. He looks down at the floorboards. The temple was never a place of worship. It was a lid. The realization settles into him slowly. Like cold water, the villagers did not fear noise because of superstition. They feared what noise could wake. Outside, the rain fades to a light drizzle. A faint mist creeps through the doorway. The air inside the temple feels charged, thinner. The humming deepens. It is no longer spread across the whole floor. It gathers beneath the altar. He steps toward it. The vibration strengthens with each step. Steady and sure, he kneels and places his hand flat against the wood. The rhythm pulses into his palm. It does not feel angry. It feels patient, as if it has. All the time in the world. His breath grows shallow. He thinks of the three boys in the records, laughing, changing the words, calling something they did not understand. The ground opening. He presses his ear closer to the floor. For a moment, there is only the steady murmur, then a shift. Not loud, not violent, just a subtle movement beneath the wood, like something turning. In sleep, his chest tightens. He pulls back slowly. The storm has fully passed now. The valley outside is quiet. Water drips from leaves in soft, even taps. Inside the temple, the humming continues. Stronger than before, he stands, stepping away from the altar. The carvings above seem darker in the fading light. The temple is no longer just old wood and empty space. It is holding something, and whatever it is, it has begun to stir. Midnight settles over the village like a held breath. No lamps burn in the windows. No dogs bark. Even the stream seems softer, as if it too is listening. Aarav stands outside his father's house, barefoot on the cold ground. He did not plan to leave. He only meant to sit awake a little longer. But the humming beneath the floor had grown steady and clear, like a voice calling his name without words. Now he faces the hill. The temple is a darker shape against the sky. Clouds drift slowly past the moon. The air feels thin, dry. He begins to walk. The gravel path bites into his feet, but he barely feels it. The humming grows stronger with each step, not louder in the air but heavier inside his chest. It presses behind his ribs. Halfway up the hill, he pauses. The village below lies still. Small rooftops, thin trees, sleeping lives. They know, he thinks. They have always known. The temple doors stand closed tonight. He places his palm against the wood. It is cool and slightly damp. The humming pulses through it. He pushes the door open. Inside, the darkness feels thick. Only thin strips of moonlight slip through cracks in the walls. The altar sits at the far end, a low shape in shadow. The temple feels smaller now. The ceiling seems lower. The beams closer. The carvings along the wood darker than before. He steps inside and closes the door. Gently behind him, the humming rises. At once, it comes from beneath the altar, clear and steady. The floor trembles in small, quick pulses. Not enough to shake objects. Just enough to remind him that something moves below. He walks forward slowly. Each step feels like stepping onto thin ice. When he reaches the altar, he kneels. The vibration is strongest here. It hums into his knees, up through his spine. He places his palm flat against the floor. The wood trembles like a living thing holding back a breath. He lowers himself further, pressing his ear against the boards. The sound deepens. It is no longer just a murmur. It is layered, a chorus. Many tones woven together, rising and falling in soft waves. No clear words, no language he knows, just sound shaped like speech. It feels endless, not loud, not wild, patient. He closes his eyes. The chorus continues, steady as rain, not angry, not kind, just waiting. His breath begins to match its rhythm without his meaning to. Inhale as it rises, exhale as it falls. His heartbeat shifts, slow and heavy, aligning with the pulse beneath him. It does not want to break free. He realizes it wants to be answered. The thought settles cold in his mind. It grows stronger when answered. The carvings on the beams flash in his memory figures, kneeling, mouths open, their voices feeding the spiral. The villagers had gathered here not to praise, but to guide, to shape the sound, to keep it contained. And when the boys mocked it, when they changed the rhythm, laughed into it, the balance broke it. Was not noise that caused the ground to split. It was the wrong echo. Aarav lifts his head slowly. The humming swells as if aware of his understanding. The temple walls seem to breathe in and out. He whispers, "You don't want to hurt anyone." The chorus continues, "You just want a voice." The floor trembles a little stronger. He sits back on his heels. The villagers' silence was never fear. It was discipline. They stopped chanting not because they forgot, but because they chose to starve it. Of reply, no echo, no growth. The humming rises again, pressing against him. It feels closer now, as if the space between wood and soil has thinned. His chest tightens. The rhythm presses into him, shaping his breath. Each inhale feels guided. Each exhale stretched longer. His throat tingles. A sound begins to form there without his will. A low tone, barely audible. He clamps his mouth shut. The humming swells in response. Not angry, but eager. His ribs vibrate. His teeth hum faintly. It is trying to tune him. He grips the floorboards with his fingers. The wood is rough under his nails. No, he whispers. The chorus does not retreat. Instead, it shifts. The tones align more closely with his natural breath. The rhythm adjusts, matching him instead of forcing him. It feels almost gentle. His fear begins to blur at the edges. The sound is not sharp, not violent. It is steady, almost comforting. He thinks of how it must have felt years ago when the villagers gathered each night, standing together, voices rising in controlled patterns, holding something vast in careful balance. He imagines his father among them. Did he chant too? Did he kneel here, feeling this same vibration? The thought shakes him. The humming rises higher now, filling the room. The beams tremble softly. Dust falls in thin lines from above. His breath catches. The sound pushes against his chest, searching for release. His lips part slightly. A faint tone slips out. The humming leaps in response, doubling in strength. The floor shakes harder. The air tightens. He snaps his mouth shut again. The vibration settles, but only slightly. It waits, patient. He understands now with cold clarity. It does not crave destruction. It craves echo, a voice to reflect it back, a rhythm to grow within. The villagers chose silence, because silence starves it, but silence also leaves it restless. The temple creaks around him. The humming shifts once more, softer this time, almost pleading. His throat burns with the urge to respond. The rhythm slides into his lungs, shaping the next breath. His mouth opens slowly, not wide, just enough. The first note trembles at the edge of sound. The temple holds its breath with him. Morning light spills across the temple floor in long, pale lines. The doors stand wide open. One hangs slightly crooked on its hinge. The air inside feels clean, almost washed. The hill is quiet, no tremor runs through the wood. No low murmur rises from beneath the altar. Only the sound of wind moving through pine trees and the distant rush of the stream. Below, Aarav sits on the floor near the center of the room. His back rests against one of the wooden pillars. His face is pale, eyes ringed with shadow. He looks like someone who has not slept in days, but his hands are steady. Dust drifts in the sunlight. The carvings along the beams seem softer now. The figures still kneel, their mouths open toward the spiral above. Yet the spiral does not feel as heavy as before. He closes his eyes for a moment. He remembers the night clearly, the way the humming pressed into his chest, the way it shaped his breath, waiting for him to give it a voice. His mouth had opened. The note had hovered there, and then he had done something else. He had stopped trying to fight it. He had stopped trying to silence it. He had simply listened, not with fear, not with anger, not with the need to control. He pressed his ear to the floor and let the chorus move through him without echo. He let the sound rise and fall inside his body without answering it. Minutes passed, or hours. He could not tell. The humming grew louder at first, almost hopeful. It adjusted to him, tried to guide him, tried to find the edge of his voice. He did. Not give it one. He breathed slowly, evenly. The rhythm searched for reflection and found none. Little by little, the tones began to slip out of shape. The steady pattern weakened. Notes lost their place. The vibration under the altar faltered. It was not a scream, not a cry, just thinning like a fire without air. The chorus softened into scattered threads of sound, then into a single low tone, then into nothing. When the silence came, it felt different from before. Not tense, not waiting, empty now, in the morning light. That emptiness remains. Aarav opens his eyes. The temple does not hum. He stands slowly and walks toward the altar. His steps make quiet sounds against the wood. He kneels once more and places his palm on the floor. Still only the faint chill of stone beneath timber. He lowers his ear. Nothing answers. Outside, a bird lands on the roof. Its small claws scrape gently across the tiles. Another bird joins it, chirping softly. He had not heard birds near the temple in days. He recesses and walks to the doorway. The village below looks unchanged, yet something in the air feels lighter. The wind moves freely across the rooftops. Smoke from morning fires rises straight up. Without bending, he steps outside. The hill no longer presses against his chest. As he walks down the stone steps, he passes a group of children near the base. They stand close together, staring up at the temple doors. One of them begins to hum a simple tune, soft and careless. The others freeze. They wait. Nothing happens. The boy hums louder. Testing, still nothing. The children glance at each other, unsure. Then they laugh, a short burst of sound, and run off toward the stream. Aarav watches them go. By afternoon, the village begins to stir differently. Doors open wider. People step outside and look toward the hill without turning away quickly. Mira stands outside her shop, arms crossed. When she sees Aarav walking toward her, she studies his face. It's quiet, she says. He nods. She listens for a moment, as if expecting something to rise from the ground. Only the wind moves through the trees. What did you do? She asks quietly. Nothing, he says. She waits for more. I didn't answer it, he adds. Her eyes narrow slightly, but not in doubt. She looks past him toward the hill. Silence. She murmurs, not fear, he says. She nods, once by evening. More birds gather near the temple roof. Their calls fill the air in small bursts of sound. The stream seems louder now, as if it no longer competes with something unseen. The villagers speak in normal tones again. Laughter carries across the open spaces between houses, yet beneath the relief, there is caution. A fragile feeling, as if they are walking across ground that has only just settled. Aarav spends one last night in his father's house. He lies awake, listening. The floorboards remain still. The air holds no hidden rhythm. The silence feels natural. He closes his eyes and breathes. In the morning, he packs his bag. He walks once more to the base of the hill and looks up at the temple. It stands, simple and quiet in the light. He does not climb. There is no need. The bus arrives in a cloud of dust near noon. He steps aboard without looking back again, as the village disappears behind trees and turns in the road. He rests his head against the window. Days later, in a distant city filled with noise and motion, he stands inside a crowded train station. Voices echo off concrete walls. Announcements blur overhead. Footsteps strike the floor in constant rhythm. For a brief moment, beneath all that noise, he hears it, a faint hum, low, almost hidden, not from the ground this time, from the mass of people, from throats whispering prayers, from fans chanting in a nearby stadium, from voices rising together without thought. His chest tightens. The rhythm brushes against his breath. Searching, he closes his mouth firmly. He listens. The sound moves on, swallowed by the roar of the crowd. He does not follow it. He does not answer, and the silence he carries inside remains unbroken.